Hello everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Before I go any further, you could please subscribe down below. Make sure to hit that like button. The more likes we get, the more people will get to share these videos, the more information I can get out there to other people and talk about how I got over severe panic attacks, how I moved into recovery, and how I just made a lot of progress in the last couple of years from basically thinking I was debilitated by my chronic anxiety to being able to be in a place where anxiety could still be present at times because I'm not fully at the end range of recovery, and I could still do everything I want to do in my life, and it's not going to stop me from doing anything. That's a major part of the recovery journey. And again, to learn more about that, always comment down below what you want to see. The more engagement, as many as you see, I spend 15, 20 minutes every single day going through all the YouTube comments, answering them. If you have any questions, please ask. If they're super broad topics, it's hard to answer them, but if they're more specific to the video and stuff you want to see, I get to those questions as soon as I can. So, today I want to title the video, Nick's Advice on Panic Attacks. Now, panic attacks is a topic I see covered wrong a lot. And now, this is for the chronic anxiety crowd. So anyone suffering with chronic anxiety, this video is for you about what I think, what works for me, and what I see is usually done wrong, and why a lot of people are stuck in that panic anxiety loop. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what do you need to actually know about panic attacks? Little in the sense of the neurophysiology. So I always talk about that. Like, you don't have to worry about the thalamus and the limbic system and all that stuff. If you never learned about that, it's cool if you want to learn about it, but if you think you need to learn about it in order to actually recover, it's just not true. Especially for panic disorder, you don't need to know that. You have to understand the fears and getting comfortable with the sensations, which we're going to talk about a lot in this video. So, Paul David's book, At Last a Life, does a really good example of just explaining what you kind of need to know. And that's what I tell people. It's bent up energy, and you have basically chronic anxiety because you have a disorder more than likely, and it's also heightened by the experience of your belief that you can't stand it. And it's not that the panic itself is actually the driving factor of the end of, the belief. It's of how you're responding. It's the belief you have to it. And this isn't to say that you have to agree with the sensation. You have to be like, oh, I like having panic attacks, because who the fuck likes having panic attacks? I just spit on my camera. But it is important to know that it is the belief driving that heightened response, that top of the onion layer I always talk about. So what are some common misconceptions I hear about panic attacks talked about on social media, on YouTube conversations, at seminars, and different posts? This is what I hear, okay? We talk about grounding techniques. 5 things you could smell and 5 things you could sense, and then counting. We'll just sit down and count. Stopping everything you're doing, just sit down, maybe meditate in the moment, take a couple deep breaths and so forth. Long-term distraction techniques, keep yourself as busy as you can get. Only relying on medications for chronic anxiety. Medications are great. I can't advise on them. They help a lot of people take the edge off. But I also know the majority of people with chronic anxiety will more than likely need to work on their belief system, how they view their actual panic. Like, what are they thinking about? How do they think if they stay like this for the next year, it's going to ruin their life forever? That type of belief system you have is, like I said, heightening up that response. And the reassurance. When you have chronic anxiety, we all know it's funny, right? We'll just sit down and relax and everything's going to be okay. But we don't know that, because if you have a chronic anxiety disorder, your mind's going crazy. What if it hurts my heart? What if it hurts my brain? What if it causes something serious wrong with my body? So you actually can't reassure your way out of this. It's nice. Listen, reassurance is a short-term temporary fix. Excuse me. I've had people say, well, I love reassurance. It makes me feel good. And I say to them, does it help you in the long run? And they say no, because it doesn't, unfortunately. So those are the big misconceptions I hear about on a daily basis. I see about when people are talking about how to handle panic attacks. Now we're going to go into what to do when you're having a panic attack. This is not easy to hear. It's difficult. It is. It's almost a skill. It's a muscle that you'll have to build up. And that is doing nothing. Now, when I say do nothing, I don't mean do nothing physically, like you're not doing anything. You're still going about your day, you're going through work, you might fall on the ground. Like, let's say your worst case scenario is you're going to have a panic attack in front of your family and your friends, you're going to fall to the ground, and they're going to be like, oh my God, like, Nick's crazy. Nick's totally out of control. We have to call someone. A lot of people are afraid of rejection. So if you don't have a good understanding of the beliefs that usually are attached to panic, it can kind of be very subtle and elude you in a lot of ways. So the fear of rejection. What does the fear of rejection have to do with panic attacks? I'll make it very simple for you. You're afraid if you have a panic attack, not everyone, I'm just saying if I was working with someone or talking to someone, you are afraid if you have a panic attack and you fall down in front of other people, they're going to judge you. What if I lose my job? The fear of fear. What if I stay forever and stuff like that? So the best thing you want to do is, and I've done plenty of videos on this, is you want to build your LFT. What the heck is LFT? Low frustration tolerance, coined by Dr. Albert Ellis in the first book on the reading list, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, and The Myth of Self-Esteem. Those are just two great books. The How to Stubbornly Refuse is a good book for building low frustration tolerance, and then Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is probably the best book for perspective. Like, holy shit, look at what this guy went through. Lost his entire family, Auschwitz. And I always have people say stuff like, this has nothing to do with panic attacks. Yes, it does. Because your perspective on panic attacks is heightened so high when there's people who are literally worked to death in concentration camps that might not have been that anxious. So, oh, I have a disorder and they don't. Irrelevant to think about, all right? You have to look at the perspective, which also goes into gratitude, and realizing how lucky you are to be able to go to work, buy food at the grocery store, go to the gym, hike while having a panic attack. Not many people are having panic attacks that live in third world countries that can't do stuff like that. So all this stuff kind of plays in. So it's going to take you a little bit to kind of build up that frustration tolerance to get to a point where you're going to be able to go throughout your day whilst this is like going on and while you're feeling pretty shitty. It's not easy to do, but it's not impossible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you fairy tales, and I'm not going to talk to you in a soft-spoken voice. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. Panic attacks and high bouts of panic are not easy to handle. Now, our belief system on that is making it seem a lot worse, but you can stand that sensation. You can stand it for as long as it has to be there for while you bring down the fear. And until you bring down the fear and address the core belief, it's probably still going to fire in the background, unfortunately, but that's just kind of how this whole entire ordeal goes for a lot of people. Now, there are people who have panic attacks and just go with uncertainty and get better 100%. That's completely fine. That wasn't the case for me. So this goes into number 4, the beliefs that are driving the panic cycle. So, got belief number 1, okay? Fear of fear. Okay, what is fear of fear? We got the fear of being stuck forever, the fear of it ruining my life, the fear of it ruining every single event. What if I can't concentrate? All the what if futures, like the fear of the fear. What if I can't stand the sensation? And then what do we talk about? FOJ, fear of rejection. That FOJ, FOR. Listen, I can spell, I promise. FOJ. I don't know why. I took the J out of the middle of rejection. I put it in the front of the word. So, the fear of rejection, huge. Let me know how you feel about this down below. If you think that you are struggling with the fear of fear and the fear of rejection, comment right now. And like I said, as soon as the video's up, within 24 hours, I'm going back and looking at those comments. Because I know what that feels like. Like, oh my God, I just got this new job. I just graduated grad school. I got this great job. And what if they think I'm crazy? What if they think I can't? If I look stupid, I don't know if I can handle that rejection. And that's where fear of fear and fear of rejection all come in. And then comment down below if you have this one too. Basically, fear of health, like the health detriments, also fear of fear. What if I have a heart attack? What happens if I die young because of all the panic that's done to my body? All the fear of fear, which, correlates with the fear of rejection, the fear of health, and all stuff like that. So that belief you're having right now, we got an onion, okay? This is the onion, my fist. The top layer is, if you take away, once you're like, oh, okay, these sensations are more than likely coming in my perspective that my life is ruined. It's not ruined, like it sucks. It sucks right now. It's really bad. But like, even though the sensation sucks, it doesn't mean my whole entire life sucks. Well, once you start to kind of understand that, the first layer goes off. You're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm still anxious. Like, I'm still very anxious. When I was working on recovery, I was very anxious for a long time. Well over a year. Like every day. if it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, it was still humming in the background. And I still have that to a degree, but it has no grip on my life. No grip. And I always talk about Jade's recent video. I no longer look at recovery dates. I have a date where I was like my sobriety date, but I don't like think about that. I'm not like May 1st, 2020. That's the goal. It's just like, no, that's when I put video games down because I was playing 100 hours a week. Because I was like, when I was in these high moments of panic, when I was playing video games, I was like, oh my God, that feels so good. No, it was like a light switch. No panic, no sensation, just boom. So, like I said, comment down below about the fear of health repercussions, and the fear of rejection. Those are big three fears that are correlated into that, what if I'm stuck with anxiety forever? And concentration's a big one too. It's kind of sneaky. Well, if I'm actually talking to someone. It was Thanksgiving holiday in America yesterday, and I was talking to someone there, and he said, oh my gosh, like you couldn't be able to concentrate. And in my mind, I'm like, well, who cares? Because sure, you would not be able to concentrate, but you could still try and be present, not forcefully, and probably not going to retain a bunch of information when you're chronically stuck on thinking about the anxiety, but you could still, to say you're going to retain no information is also black and white in itself. It's just not true. So remember, we got the misconceptions that we talked about. I'm sure many of you have heard some stuff, and you can write them down below. Oh man, these are other things people have told me along the way. And it's not anyone's fault. It's hard to understand how it locks and latches when you've never experienced chronic anxiety. I mean, like chronic, it's there, buzzing away 24/7. Sometimes it feels like a 9, sometimes it feels like a 3, but it's never really a 0. It's just always kind of there, like just humming. It's like a ghost in the background. Sometimes the ghost gets close to you and it's like, what's up? 9 out of 10. Goes back, what's up? 3 out of 10. But it's always humming in the way. A lot of people have that with chronic anxiety. So it's an unfortunate scenario, but you don't have to have chronic anxiety forever. You can get yourself to a point where, because remember, there's different stages. Stage 1 is, I always use the gardener. You're not just going to read a couple books, understand the concepts, and immediately get better. You can make some fast progress quick on your beliefs, but it takes a while to change those perspectives and actually feel the difference. That's what I'm talking about. It's an actual internal surrender where you're like, you know what? Ruin it. Let's use myself for an example. I'm a great one. I was so afraid that if I was anxious, it would ruin everything in my life with the way I wanted to look. Like I wanted to look a certain way. Oh, too much anxiety. I won't be able to build enough muscle, and all these irrational beliefs that are still, I still prefer to look a certain way, but I don't no longer demand it like I used to. That is humongous. And there's so many little ways it infiltrates. Like I said, the health, the way you look, your concentration, the cloudiness, like, oh, I'm so lethargic. Sleep. What if I'm chronically anxious and I can't sleep? So these are all correlated. So again, comment down below what you think. This is something I really struggled with for a long time. And I still do to a degree with my new stuff, but my response is so much better than it was 2 years ago. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, like the video, share it with your friends. If you know anyone who has chronic anxiety, feel free to show them this. They don't have to agree with everything. Remember, it's not about agreeing with everything, but it is good to listen to other people's opinions. I listen to everyone's opinions, whether I agree with them or not. I will listen to a whole entire podcast of something I don't agree with just to be like, oh, there might be something I can take away from that. That's just very important. It's a skill. Another thing I was talking about last night, it's basically trying to build a muscle. So thank you so much for watching. And I kind of wanted to leave you with this. When you have chronic anxiety, those grounding techniques and in the moment meditation techniques are just usually not good the way you're using them. It's not that grounding techniques and meditation are inherently bad, but if you're using them to escape the way you're feeling, it's not good. It's why I always talk about, like, you should probably stay at work. Don't run home. I know it feels so like you have to, right? Like you're in such imminent danger to run home. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, don't worry, you're not in danger, because your brain's like, I am in danger. That's reassurance. It doesn't work. But you can handle the discomfort and the uncertainty, even if you were in some crazy amount of danger, and you could stay there and handle those sensations. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.